Hi guys, it's Dakota. Hope everybody's doing well. To witch or not to witch? So that is not about witchcrafting. Do you witch daily, every day, once a month, full moon, Sabbath? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about those who are either new to the path, this new spirituality path, be it witchcraft or anything outside of a dogmatic religion, such as Christianity. I'm not saying only Christianity, but a dogmatic religion such as Christianity. And I might refer to that word only because here in the South, this is what there we are. This is the Bible Belt, and so Christianity is something that you're going to hear a lot. So I'm going to probably just use that word for religion. Maybe I'll just use the word religion. Anyway, pardon me. So what I want to talk about is I've noticed that there are a lot of people in the community, and I know this because I do have a store. So I know that there are a lot of people in the community that are either involved in their dogmatic practice, in their religion, but for whatever reason, they're drawn to the store. Never been to a metaphysical store before, don't really know anything about it. Some are just curiosity seekers, and that is absolutely fine. And others are are coming in because they're almost in a transition state of, I am this religion, and but it's not doing what I need it to do for me anymore, or there's aspects of it that aren't working in my life right now, and for whatever reason I feel drawn to come here. Usually after asking a few questions, it's because maybe they've read something, somebody told them about the store and they need to, they should come in and check it out. Maybe they've seen it in a book or watched a video or something on it, and they just feel really drawn, but they don't really know drawn to what. And that's perfectly fine, because I think I'll speak for myself. When I first was drawn to this path, which was at a very, very, at a child, as a child. I was a child, didn't know what the path was, but I knew it wasn't this path. Um, but they come in and they're a little afraid. There's a little bit of, they have a doubt. They're not really sure about anything. And those that are doing that transition from the dogmatic practice, but this a different type of spirituality is calling them, and now here they are in the thick of a metaphysical store, and they're kind of afraid because what they've been taught, this is all bad. This is all bad. And so they have that little bit of fear going on in their head. And as much as I try to explain to them that really there's nothing in here to be afraid of unless you do something of your own will to make it bad, like pick up one of those rocks and throw it at my head. That would be a bad thing to do. But the rock itself isn't a bad rock, right? It's not a bad rock. I had this happen not too terribly long ago, where someone had come in to the store and was really, really drawn to tarot. They didn't know why, but they really, really were drawn to it. But they weren't sure if they could get a deck, because they knew that their book and their church and their religion, that was a bad thing. And when I asked, I said, how so? Like, how is that bad? I mean, I mean, they can't just say it's bad and not tell you bad why. I mean, right? You can't just say, oh, that's bad. Oh, okay. Why is it bad? Um, and the answer was really, well, I guess it really wasn't shocking, but it's always shocking to me. It just feels like I'm sort of that, like what? The answer was that, well, I heard if you start messing with tarot, that's sort of like the devil's work, and you can summon up bad, evil spirits and things like that. And I thought at that point, if you are this afraid, you really should not be doing this. Honestly, you should not be doing this because fear does feed the fire. Fear feeds fire. Try saying that 3 times quick. um, and and I just explained to her that the only way anything was going to be summoned with tarot is if she actually summoned it herself. And without knowing really how to do that, not saying that you can't, but I've known a lot of cases where portals have been opened from people not knowing what they're doing, and then they don't know how to close the portal. But in most cases, yeah, if you don't know how to do it, it's not going to happen. I mean, unless you pull out a card and say, with this card, and you do some kind of thing, it's really not going to happen. Um, but, but then there's that flip side of me that says, perhaps you're not ready for this right now. If you are that afraid, you probably shouldn't mess with this. Because I think in our subconscious mind, and especially those who have been in a church environment, especially a strict church environment like we do have here in the South, it is a type of brainwashing. The fear, I mean, you can't do anything without the fear of God, God's wrath down on you. And um, so what happens then is, this is my own opinion, what happens is the subconscious mind starts playing tricks on you. And if you're kind of afraid of that tarot deck because of what the church has said or what the book says or what people have told you or you heard it on YouTube or whatever, some social media, then those images are already planted in that subconscious brain, and sure enough, things are going to happen. Maybe bad dreams, maybe you start hearing, footsteps going on in the house, different things. Maybe you had a flat tire and then you got sick, or, like one thing right after the other. And so a lot of times people associate that with things that they've done that were bad, that they shouldn't have been doing. They shouldn't have been messing with that. And sorry, my back itches. It's just truly not. That's not how it works. But so I just feel like if you have those fears and those doubts, probably you shouldn't be working with that right now. And it would be a good idea to do a little more research or do maybe some one-on-one with somebody that you trust, whether it's tarot or cards or working with stones or herbs or anything. I mean, believe it or not, and we sell herbs in the store, but believe it or not, I mean, I've never heard of a plant being like, oh, that's evil. I mean, if you work with that, that's evil. I mean, I know there's some plants out there that are hallucinogenics and sometimes people bad trip, but I've never heard of that. There's poisonous herbs, yes, there are. There's baneful gardens, yes, there are. But I've never heard of, oh, you can't you know, unless it's a law, like you know, here we're still under no marijuana law. But anyway, so do you get where I'm going? I mean, I think that if you're scared, I think if you're that worried and you're that scared, that you probably shouldn't be um, starting this journey just yet. And go slow, do some research, get with somebody that you know and that you trust that you could sit down with and maybe just go over things, have some counsel with, and things like that to bring clarity to you. Because regardless if you're here in the church situation or you're not, if this is where you are and this is where you're supposed to be and this is where you're most comfortable, that's where I want you to be. I don't want you to be over here because, oh, this is where all the cool kids are. It isn't like that. It truly isn't like that. So again, I just wanted to make sure that I stated that, you know, if you're scared, you may not want to leave this right now and just do a little more work and research and talk with people that are experienced and people that know, if you trust them. And if you don't trust them, then you shouldn't be on this journey. Okay. Now, the other thing is curses and hexes and jinx. You know, I've been jinxed, and hearing spirits or footsteps, or things were falling off shelves, and oh, there was dark shadows in my house. Again, I think that that is not that there aren't. I'm not arguing the fact that there is or there isn't. What I'm saying is that I do work with spirit. I work with spirit. Um, Ghosts, if they come around, sure. I'm not afraid in the least. I I work with spirit. That I do. I work with spirit and spirit guides, and that kind of puts me in the category of necromancer, where, you know, speaking with the dead. Yeah, that's what I do. I do ancestor work. So, but there's never been a time in my life, as long as I've known, that anything has ever attached itself to me, or have I heard noises? Yeah, I just heard a noise over there, but it's kind of windy out. I'm above a pecan tree, or no, a gumball tree. So the little things fall on the roof all the time. We have squirrels, we have lizards, we have just things, branches. You know, there's things that make noises. If there's spirit, that's fantastic too. I've seen shadow people, and it doesn't scare me. But there are people that don't, and they don't want that. They don't like it. They're afraid of it. It is the fear of the unknown. Um, you know, and some of us, we like turning the lights off and watching the scariest movie we can think of, and screaming, and, you know, somebody jumps at us and says boo. There's that adrenaline rush that we get, and people, you know, like that at times, not all the time. But so that being said, and this is just sort of my own belief, I think as far as like somebody has hexed you or somebody has cursed you or thrown a spell at you or something like that, I mean, you know, they can. Of course they can. Of course they can. But I will tell you this, that in a circle of people that I know, presently and past, people that have done cursing, hexing, and people that have been the recipient of being cursed or being hexed, I have never seen one come to fruition. I just never have. I have seen people come in and think that they're cursed or hexed. A lot of bad things were happening. Things just weren't going their way. And you know, sometimes life is that way. Sometimes we have a streak of bad luck. And it doesn't necessarily mean that we've been cursed or jinxed or hexed or whatever. But that being said, um, the people that I know who have been the recipient of a curse, uh, where the curse, there was, you know what I mean? Like it didn't come to fruition. Um, they have a power within them that they know their own power. They love themselves, they respect themselves, they don't have self doubts about their own beliefs and their own powers. So, whether that is they are a fellow witch, or whether they are a Christian, or whether they are of some other choice of path, they have firm beliefs in what they do and who they are. And so from someone on the outside that tries to throw a curse or hex, it just doesn't get through because they trust, myself included. I trust my guides, my deity, my guardians, and I trust myself and my own powers enough to where I'm not going to be the fuel for their fire. And so really it just puts it out. It just sort of puts it out, or it just leaves it dangling in limbo, which is one of the things that I don't like about curses and hexes. When you're throwing something like that and you know what you're doing and you throw it to somebody who knows what they're doing, where does that energy go? Where does that energy go when it doesn't affect the recipient? Does it just dissolve and disintegrate and dissipate and, or does it go up into the universe, or does it hit a reflection? Does it hit a mirror? Does it hit a glass that has a reflection? Like you can see the reflection of the computer on my glasses. Does that reflect and bounce back? Something to think about. So, but back to witch or not to witch. So someone who's been hexed or cursed or think they have been, and they come in and it was hearsay, and they're not, this is not their practice. Okay. This is not their practice. This is all new to them, but they, so-and-so told them that they were hurt, or they think so-and-so cursed them or whatever. And now they want to throw magic back at them. But you don't even know you don't even know magic. That's not your thing. Because I'll ask them, how do you know that? How do you know that? That's what they do. I know they're into all of that stuff. Okay, well, they're into all of that stuff, but you're not into all of that stuff. But now you want to all of a sudden throw something back at them? I mean, you don't know what you're doing. I probably would highly advise that you don't do that until you know something about that. There are people out there. Yes, there are. There are people out there that will do spell work for you, curse for you. They will do all of the things for you. But I would highly reconsider that. I would think about that. Because again, if that is somebody that was strong enough and knowledgeable enough that knew exactly how to curse somebody, and perhaps they don't know because maybe they don't know anything about you and your powers, and they throw it your way, and at the same time you've already guarded and reflected. Where does that energy go? But if you don't know how to do it, you probably shouldn't do it. You probably shouldn't do it because, unless you know yourself, which is one of the things we teach in my 101 class. Know thyself. It's a huge thing. You have to know yourself. You have to know your own powers. You have to be willing to do the work. You have to be willing to do the study, to do the research. You have to dare to do the work and to cast the spell. And you also have to, be ready to accept the consequences of that. So if you don't know all of that and you don't understand all of that, then it's probably not a good idea to do that, because there are consequences to everything that we do, including good things that we do. The consequence is a good thing. So, if you, the other thing is, yeah, I don't believe in all that stuff. Well, then if you don't believe in it, how can you do the magic? How can you do it if you don't believe in it? Um, it's not effective. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just not effective. So if this isn't anything that you plan on following, if this isn't something that you plan on following this path, researching this path, learning about this path, whether it's, I don't care if it's Wicca, witchcraft, if it's Druidism, if it's, voodoo, hoodoo, whatever, root working, conjuring, any of the, and I'm going to use this word widely, occultism, um, then you're not going to want to just walk into a metaphysical store that you've never been into before, and say, oh, look, here's a reversing candle. I'm going to reverse it, boom, and think that the magic is going to work. There's more to it than that. There's more to it than just buying a candle that's already stenciled with a spell on it and lighting the candle and sending it off. There's a lot more to it, a lot more to it. So it's probably not going to be effective anyway. So one of the things that you have to do, I'm still working on this with certain areas of my life, and that is love yourself, which is probably one of the hardest things that we have to deal with. And when I say love yourself, I don't mean love yourself to ego, meaning don't love yourself so much that it turns into ego. I know a lot of people that have that. A lot of people, they adore themselves. They think they are just, uh, blank on Green's earth and God's green earth, and the cat's meow, and the witch's witch and all the things. And they even have scrolls with all their titles and labels and everything that they can show you. And it doesn't necessarily mean zippity. Their ego is enormous. And here's the thing, the universe knows that, or source, divine, whatever you like to label those things, that they know that. So you don't want to love yourself to ego. And you have to respect yourself a lot. You have to, if you don't respect yourself and trust yourself and know yourself, then how do you expect source to respect you and help you, assist you, or give you what it is that you're looking for? The divine or source or whatever, chances are they're not going to work with somebody that doesn't respect themselves or loves themselves, or considers themselves, the high and mighty Oz. Their magic typically doesn't work for the best. I'm sure that it works. I'm sure that it works. No doubt that it doesn't work. I'm sure that it does work, but I feel that there's a different angle that people can take to that approach. Get off that pedestal, get off the ego, and just do your work. Just do your work, or the magic will fail. So it takes time. It takes time to witch or not to witch. It takes time. You have to, some people like myself, even though I didn't know when I was a child that this is what I would be doing some years later, and that this is who I am, and I mean, this is who I am daily. Not just because I have the shop. I witch every day. I work every day on my craft, on my path every day. And there are some that don't, and I'm not taking anything away from those that don't. But for me, I'm just saying that this is something that I do every day. So it takes time, though. It takes time. I didn't always do this. I was in and out of this for many, 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 many years. I wish that I wasn't. I wish, really. I mean, a lot of times when I'm doing devotions or just gratitudes and things like that, a lot of times I say those words that I so wish that I knew back then when I was a little one, when I was a wee one. I wish that I knew what I know today. And I feel like there's not enough time in this lifetime to learn the things that I want to learn, and experience the things that I want to experience, and experiment with the things that I want to experiment with. So it's just patience. It's patience, and it's a lot of work. So if you don't like to work, if you are impatient and you don't like to work, and you're a little leery, you're a little afraid that you might, uh, a puff of smoke might come up when you go to burn something, and you're like, oh, what was that? What was that? Then you probably shouldn't be on this path, at least right now. Do some more work, study it, research, talk to somebody that you trust, that you know, that you trust, that has some experience, and take it from there. And so, to which or not which? That is the question. All right, guys, I will see you soon. Bye.